Hello guys, CGK here, and today we're gonna look at cash flow versus net worth. Which is more important?
What's more valuable? Owning a $2 million home that costs $5,000 a month to upkeep, or receive $500 a month after tax?
Hold on. Owning a $2 million house that's cost $5,000 a month to upkeep, or getting paid $5,000 a month after tax? Well, obviously, I think the house, isn't it? Because houses make more money over time, some shit like that.
Most people chase the
They're like one of the few appreciating assets.
first, but only the second will get you free. Because you see, cash flow and net worth tell two very different stories. They give you insight on your financial health, but from two different lenses. And depending on where you are in life, one can be vastly superior than the other. Let's explain, all right? Welcome to A-Lux.
Let's go, dude. Come with a place where future billionaires come, bro. Guaranteed billionaire if you pull up.
So starting off, we're going to talk about net worth. At its core, your net worth is the total value of everything you own minus everything you owe. It's a simple equation. Net worth equals assets minus liabilities. Assets are everything you own that holds value. Your cash, stocks, real estate, jewelry, businesses.
Yes, that's true. But where the 401ks at? Is that an asset? I'm playing it is an asset.
Even that one painting you're convinced
Oh, wait, even a credit card, I know it's controversial, can technically become an asset if used correctly.
is worth something. And liabilities are what you owe to somebody else. Mortgages, credit cards, student loans.
I knew they were gonna mention credit cards, bro. In theory, yes, a credit card is a liability because you have to pay it back. But if you use a credit card on something that makes you money, and it makes more than what your interest rate is, then technically, it's an asset.
Personal debt. If you sold everything you own and paid off every debt tomorrow, what's left over is your net worth. This is a helpful way to get a snapshot of your overall financial position. It tells you where you are, but not how fast or flexible you can move. Now, if you take a look at a generational view, you'll see a few different things. Boomers held around 21% of total U.S. wealth by age 35. Gen X had about 9% at the same age, and millennials, which is most of you watching this, own just 6% by.
God damn, bro, it's really that bad? Holy. I did not, dude. Yo, we need to step up our game. Millennials unite, bro. We actually need to step up our game.
The same age. Generation after generation, people have an increasingly lower net worth by the same age. Despite rising education levels, salaries, and productivity, the younger generations are starting adulthood with far fewer assets. But this graphic tells another story. Almost everyone has a net worth, only on paper. You see, for roughly 80% of people, their net worth is made up of just two things: the house they live in and their retirement accounts, like pensions or a 401k. And you can't really sell your living room to pay rent, nor can you dip into your 401k without penalties unless
That's true. That is very true.
you're already retired. This introduces a more useful concept: liquid net worth. Meaning the money you can actually access, move, or use in the short term without taking a hit. So let's look at two people.
Yeah, I know a lot of people with the liquid net worth of like, let's say less than 1,000.
With the
That's all I'm gonna say.
same net worth. Person A owns a $500,000 home and has $300,000 in retirement savings. That's $800K in net worth. Not bad. The problem is, this person can only access that money if they sell the house and fully retire. Person B has $800,000 in a mix of index funds, rental properties, and cash. Their money is working and accessible. Same net worths, two completely different stories. Most people think they're building wealth when they buy a home, but what they're really building is a very expensive savings account they can't touch.
Oh my god, this is so true. I be telling people this. Unless you're planning on selling that house, bro, I'd recommend building other forms of income. Because if you have no intention of selling the house, then honestly, it's not. I wouldn't consider it an asset in like this physical sense, where it's like you could just sell it like on the fly. Like houses don't even sell. Like houses take more than a day to sell. So, yeah.
What's more,
And then you gotta account for the repairs, the insurance. Nah.
your net worth can be negative
Hell, even taxes.
too. In fact, Most people have a negative net worth, especially early in life. Let's say you're 23 years old. You just finished college and you took out a student loan.
Relatable. I also have a negative. Actually, do I have a negative net worth? I'm gonna do my math right now. Unironically, I don't.
You owe $40,000 in student debt. You've got like $1,000 in your checkings account with no other major assets. Your net worth is minus $39,000.
Damn.
That doesn't mean you're failing, though.
I remember these times, bro. Starting in the negatives. That shit was ass.
It means your financial life is still front-loaded with debt. Most high-earning professionals like doctors, lawyers, and engineers start their careers with a negative net worth. So, with that being said, when is knowing your net worth useful? Well, track your financial progress over time. If your net worth was $80K last year and it's $100K now, you're moving forward. If it's going down, it means something needs your attention.
Oh yeah, that shit is not going up, that's for sure.
Knowing your net worth also helps you to plan. Can you take on more debt? Are you over-leveraged in one asset? Do you need to diversify? Think of your net worth as your...
Actually, that's not true. Because last year, I would consider my net worth like what? 5K? Now I'm up 19? Which in the grand scheme of things is nothing, but...
financial weight over time. And you know, we even built a net worth at death calculator, which you can check out at alux.com/worth.
Not sponsored, by the way.
It measures how well off you'll be when you're old based on what you currently have and compared to others in your segment. So, if net worth shows how well you're doing over time, well, cash flow shows how well you're doing right now. So, what is cash flow really? Well, essentially, all of the money that moves through your life is cash flow. It's the actual income you receive on a regular basis minus your expenses. So to put it simply, cash flow equals income minus expenses. It can come from your salary, dividends, rental income, royalties, side hustles, or any source that regularly puts money into your account. Positive cash flow means you're earning more than you're spending. Negative cash flow means you're slowly bleeding even if your net worth looks good on paper. According to data from the Bank of America Institute, 20% of American households live paycheck to paycheck,
Yo, ain't that the truth? Not me though, but shit.
including those earning over $150,000 a year.
Bro, I don't understand how people making over 150K can live paycheck to paycheck. Like, you gotta be downright dummy with your money, man. Cause there's just no way. Like, 150K? Like, you gotta be like, oh, I got 150K, so I'm buying a 150K car. That doesn't make me money. Like, I just don't understand, bro.
Here. In simple terms, they're spending nearly everything they earn. Their income comes in, it goes out, and nothing stays. That is how you end up with people living in million-dollar homes who look wealthy on paper, but are just one missed paycheck away from a financial crisis.
I also know an insanely large number of people like this.
What makes cash flow so important is it gives you options. Options like working from anywhere or running a remote business. Now, working remotely sounds like freedom, right? And it is, until you're logging into your accounts from a hotel Wi-Fi or reviewing contracts from a coffee shop halfway across the world. That is where NordVPN comes in. So
hold up. We're not about to do a sponsor segment after doing another sponsor
about
segment.
financial freedom is why cash flow equals freedom, okay? People talk about financial freedom like it's a number of some sort. They say, once I hit 1 million, I'm free. But
I'm not gonna lie, my number is actually pretty low. My number for financial freedom is 10K after taxes. After 10K, I feel like anything more than that doesn't really will elevate or change my lifestyle. But my goal, at least, is to make over 1 million. At least. Minimum. I kind of want to go to 100 million. Fuck it, we'll go bigger. 1 billion.
real freedom doesn't come from the number, okay? It comes from the reliability of the income. If you're earning $5,000 a month in passive or semi-passive income and you spend less than that, you are, technically speaking, financially free. It doesn't matter what your net worth says. That's the difference between wealth on paper and wealth in motion. In fact, most people who retire early don't do it by hoarding $10 million in net worth. They do it by covering their monthly costs with predictable income. Rental income, dividends, royalties, LP payouts, and everything else we talked about in the passive income episode. The takeaway here is, if your income covers your lifestyle without requiring your time, you are functionally free. Predictability is more important than the amount. That is why businesses and investors chase recurring revenue. Because when income is predictable, you can optimize around it. You can plan your expenses, take risks, and build new things.
That's true, dude. That's why the rich become richer, dude. They have access to an insane amount of reliable wealth, reliable money coming in. And you just take that money that comes in, that you're not spending, and just put it in another business, and then boom, another source of income. And it's just infinite money glitch.
If your cash flow stops, you're constantly on the defense, no matter how rich you look on paper. So, how does one build a cash flow system that is reliable and scalable? Glad you asked, imaginary voice in our head. Well, here's the ladder that most people climb, okay? Step 1, earn active income, the money you make by directly trading your time for work. You get a job, a contract, maybe start freelancing.
Oh no. They said the J word, not the J word, please.
Or selling a skill. This is how most people begin their financial journey, and frankly, this is where most of them also get stuck. They earn money, they spend it, and repeat the cycle. But cash flow doesn't come from working harder. It comes from working smarter and widening the gap between what you earn and what you keep.
Yo, she's right, dude. That's what I'm trying to do with this channel. Trying to widen the gap between me and my job, so I can branch out into other things, and dabble in other forms of money.
That is the next step. Step 2, increase the margins. So margins are what's left over after life gets paid. The rent, the groceries, the subscriptions, the dinners out. If your monthly income is $4,000 and you spend $3,500, your margin is $500. That is your seed money, the dry powder you use to build freedom. There are 2 ways to increase your margins, okay? Earn more or spend less.
Earn more, spend less. Got it. Fuck it. Why stop at one job? Work 3.
Most people focus on earning more, which is fine. But without spending discipline, income just scales your lifestyle, not your wealth. You go from a $30,000 life to a $60,000 life to a $120,000 life, and you're still broke at every level.
Yeah, lifestyle inflation. That's a thing. That's a real thing. People don't like to take into account, dude. You just gotta follow the 50-30-20 rule. 50% needs, 30% wants, and 20% savings. Or, excuse me, savings / invest. Oof. You got freaking hiccups. Savings / investing.
That's lifestyle inflation, the silent killer of financial freedom. But if you can increase your income and cap your lifestyle, you unlock real leverage, okay? That is when your margin turns into something useful. Capital. Which brings us to step 3, reinvest into income-generating assets.
Oh snap, this is it, the big step, the investing into dividends / businesses /
So this is where your cash flow journey actually begins. Instead of letting your money sit idly, you put it to work. Maybe it's dividend-paying stocks, maybe it's rental property, maybe it's a content channel, a small digital product, or even...
That's me, I'm the content channel.
Buying into somebody else's business as a limited partner. The goal is income. Recurring, somewhat predictable money that doesn't depend on you showing up every day. These are things that we talked about in the passive income episode, but assets don't manage themselves. Which brings us to step 4, systemize income. Because here you start removing yourself from the equation. Automating investments, outsourcing the management, delegating operations.
I feel like that's probably the hardest step out of all the steps, dude. Because, not everyone's going to do exactly what you do and how you do it. And then on top of that, people like to slack off. So, oh yeah, no. I could definitely see that becoming the hardest part.
You make it easier to maintain and grow your income without being hands-on 24/7. If you own real estate, that could mean hiring a property manager. If you build content, it could mean building a team to run the production or ad funnels. If you're investing, it could...
Gotta have a team to run this whole channel.
Could mean automatic contributions to dividend ETFs or scheduling capital calls with private equity funds. The more systemized your income becomes, the closer you get to true scalability where your time isn't the bottleneck anymore. Then there's step 5. Do it for long enough until you cover your monthly expenses. That is when cash flow becomes freedom. Your basic life, like rent, food, bills, even a few luxuries, is already paid for by the machine you built. At that point, work kind of becomes optional because, you see, traditional retirement is a myth.
It is a myth. There is no pensions. The 401k ain't gonna cover shit. The only true escape is to make more money and spend less.
For decades, retirement was sold as some kind of destination. You work for 40 years, you save a portion of every paycheck, you buy a house, build up a retirement account, and by the time age 65 rolls around, you've got enough to stop working. But that model made one big assumption, that your net worth would eventually be enough to carry you through the last 20 to 30 years of your life without a paycheck. And for most people, that assumption just doesn't hold up anymore.
Yeah, especially with how long the life expectancy has increased, bro. People are living past 100, bro. You retire at 65, that's another 40 years you gotta squeeze out money. 30 to 40 years you gotta squeeze out money. We just not built for that.
The numbers do.
The idea was you retire at 65, and then at 75 you croak. That's it. Only 10 years, that's nothing.
Not add up. According to the Federal Reserve, the median retirement account balance of Americans aged 55 to 64 is $185,000. For ages 35 to 44, it's just $39,000. Nearly half of people aged 55 plus have saved nothing for retirement, and that is in the US, a relatively high-income country. Meanwhile, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that the average retiree household spends around $52,000 a year.
Oh my God, that's only 3 years of retirement? Actually, no, that's like 3.5.
Do the math, okay? Even if you've saved $500,000, you're only covering about 10 years without factoring in inflation, emergencies, or rising healthcare costs. So unless you've been maxing out retirement contributions from day one and living extremely lean, that magic number might not exist.
So you gotta do what I'm doing. YouTube React until the day you die. And hopefully then, when it makes the $1, that $1 eventually scales.
So here's the mindset shift, okay? Retirement isn't some kind of finish line you cross where work stops and the money just figures itself out. Retirement today looks different for everybody. You see, every single person, retired or not, has a burn rate. That's how much money it takes to maintain your lifestyle for 30 days. And that burn rate is the enemy of every retiree because if the income stops but expenses keep going, you are slowly bleeding your net worth dry. So let's say your burn rate is $4,000 a month. If you've got $600,000 saved, that gives you 12.5 years of runway, assuming no emergencies, inflation, or market crashes. But let's say you build a system that generates $3,500 a month in cash flow. Suddenly, that $600K needs to cover only $500 a month in deficit, which means it could last decades longer or not be touched at all.
So in conclusion, everybody, get your money up. That's the conclusion you're trying to get at. Get your money up. And make sure that money keep coming every month.
Here's the truth that nobody tells you. You don't need millions to retire, you just need your income to cover your burn rate. Retirement is about removing the need to work by designing a system that pays you even if you don't show up. Net worth tells you how wealthy you look. Cash flow tells you how free you actually are. You know, Alexa, they're based...
All right, that's the end of that video.